Hello everyone, this is part 9 of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sith Lord, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Jiraiya was floored when he came back to Konoha and discovered his sensei had been killed in the hospital shortly after his departure from the Leaf to find Itachi. What made things even worse was the old man's death had been slow and painful, with his body basically thrown all over the room. The Toad-Sannin instantly suspected it was the work of Tsunade, as she was in the hospital at the time of the old retired Hokage's death, and wasn't feeling very friendly when visiting. "You want me to put Tsunade in the bingo book?" said Asuma, seeing Jiraiya nod his head. "Yes. She killed your father. Not only that, but Tsunade was talking to Naruto before I first tried to recruit her to become the Godime Hokage, and sided with him," said Jiraiya. With the current Hokage was surprised by this. "You do realize if I do this, Tsunade will decimate any shinobi we send after her, and there is the matter of the medical skills she possesses that are second to none in the entire world," said Asuma, seeing Jiraiya nod again in agreement. "I'm well aware of that. However, Tsunade also knows many of the village secrets, and she can easily sell them to the highest bidder should the debts pile up too high for money to suffice in paying off," said Jiraiya, while Asuma sighed, knowing this was one decision he didn't want to make. "Okay, I'll do it. You do realize once this gets out, Tsunade will possibly go to Naruto, and have his support in protecting her," said Asuma, seeing the Sannin smirk. "I'm counting on it," said Jiraiya simply, while a plan formed in his head. Gato Kanpani. Darth Sage sat in his comfortable chair in the meeting room with the bearded man, who was currently generating a hint of nervousness off his body through the force across from him, and seemed to be having second thoughts about meeting the Sith. Of course, the Sith also knew the man had no say in the matter, as Asama Sandayu was the manager of the Fuji Kazuki, or rather Kazuhana Kayuki, the daughter of the late daimyo of Snow Country, and niece to Kazuhana Doto, the current ruler, and ruthless tyrant of Snow Country. "Provide a protective escort. I see. Because of my business venture into the film industry, you want me to ensure your prized actress isn't harmed, and earn my investment further. You seem to have me confused with a shinobi village. Why not ask one of them?" said Darth Sage, while Sandayu nodded, but the emotions he was generating were easy to pick up, and it was clear the man didn't want to associate with the young chairman. The area the film crew is heading for the next movie is a dangerous area to be in given its current ruler. Not only that, but the studio is also hesitant to send the film crew, the other actors, and Yuki-san to the destination, said Sandayu, while the Sith just nodded in his direction. "I can understand their reluctance and would agree with them that the region isn't exactly what one would call suitable for movie making," said Darth Sage, seeing the old man frown slightly. "I spoke to the studio executives in regards to the movie location being filmed in Snow Country before coming here to speak to you. I told them a protection detail by you would practically guarantee no harm would come to everyone involved in it. Considering you are a major financial backer of this Princess Foon movie, I was hoping you would also provide extra security, and protect your future investment," said Sandayu, while the Sith in front of him just smiled. "And you don't have to hire or pay shinobi from other villages in the process," said Darth Sage with amusement in his voice before letting out a small laugh at the expression the old man's face. "It's not about the money, it's just that," said Sandayu, looking away with hesitation in his eyes. "It's just that with all the upheaval in the elemental countries, you just don't know who to trust, and even then that trust must be at arm's length. Like you are doing with me right now," said Darth Sage, while seeing Sandayu squirm further. "This company's previous chairman did have a bad reputation for when it came to doing business with people," said Sandayu, while the Sith narrowed his eyes. "I am nothing like that disgusting slime ball, and you would do well to remember that little piece of information, Sandayu-san," said Darth Sage in a dangerous tone. "Yes, of course. Forgive me," said Sandayu quickly, while knowing the boy could easily make things troublesome for him. "Very well. I see no problem in showing a small amount of mercy to you. Now you want me to send my own form of security to ensure the protection of the people making and starring the Princess Foon movie. Am I correct on that request from you and the studio executives?" said Darth Sage, having decided in getting back to the topic at hand. "Yes. Though the studio executives along with myself would prefer Fuji Kazuki be the focus of the protection detail, since she is One of a kind, I guess, would be the correct thing to say about her, said Sandayu, seeing the boy nod in agreement, since the other stars of the film, while important, could be replaced in the future, but the real star of the Princess Foon movies was not, and the Sith would feel a certain form of regret if the actress died for real. Still, the young Sith needed to make sure the elderly man in front of him understood the kind of leverage he had, and would exploit should things go south. And this has nothing to do with the fact Fujikazuki is not who you claim her to be, right? Said Darth Sage, while Sandayu stiffened and the Sith enjoyed the sensation of fear oozing off the elderly man. I don't know what you're talking about, said Sandayu calmly, but the boy in front of him just looked at him with those intense blue eyes, and they seemed to stare into the very depths of his soul. Do not lie to me about her, Sandayu-san. Let me ask you this, would I say such a thing if I didn't already know it was true, and there was more at stake than a Princess Foon movie being made? Said Darth Sage, while Sandayu was sweating more. I still don't know what you are, Ak. Said Sandayu, while feeling his windpipe being closed and finding it hard to breathe. Now you insult me. I don't like being insulted, said Darth Sage in a cold tone that spoke of someone not afraid to spill blood. How? Why you doing, this? Said Sandayu, seeing the Sith smirking at him. That would be telling. Still, I trust this has gotten my point across, that lying to me is not only insulting, but unhealthy to you, and boring for me. Now, answer my question, or I see your throat become crushed by my power. Speak, said Darth Sage before releasing his hold on the Force, choking the man's throat. Yes, she's more than an actress. Fujikazuki is really Kazuhana Kayuki, the only child of the late daimyo of Snow Country, and its rightful ruler. I wanted to bring Kayuki to Snow Country in order to unite the people under her once she was on the throne, said Sandayu after gasping for breath in order to talk clearly. I see. Her dear uncle would do just about anything to see his niece destroyed. Shame really that this conflict of interest had to be brought to my doorstep, said Darth Sage, while Sandayu looked at him in confusion. What do you mean, conflict of interest? Are you? Said Sandayu, who now looked at the Sith with surprised wide eyes, and made to run for the door had the boy used his dark powers to keep him in the chair. Working for Doto. No. I am my own individual center of power. What I do have, is a secret business partnership of sorts with him, and your actions put me in a situation where I have to choose between the two of you, said Darth Sage before slowly getting out of his chair and walking to the large window of the room. Which side will you choose? Said Sandayu, while being almost afraid to ask. Good question. Let's look at the choices before me. On one hand, I could easily kill you, Kayuki, bring her to Doto, crush the spirits of the rebels, and gain further insight into the man's twisted plans for the Snow Country. Basically nothing really changes, and I doubt Doto will be generous with gifts upon seeing his niece dead. If I side with you, then the rightful ruler can be put on the throne, Snow Country is no longer dangerous territory to travel to, and the Princess Foon movie is made. The movie becomes a smash hit at the box office, my company regains a sound financial sum of money in return, and I gain more in terms of trade, like say, the vast technological wonders your country possesses underneath the snow, said Darth Sage while walking behind Sandayu and grinning at the surprised old man. From what you're implying, it would be more beneficial for you to side with me, and take down Doto, said Sandayu, turning his head to see the Sith grin get wider. Smart man. Yes, I am going to side with you, Sandayu-san, as it benefits me more than siding with Doto ever could, and we both know the man is not exactly what I would call an honest business partner to have on my side. To be honest, I was going to eventually send some of my own agents to Snow Country to kill Doto, and take what I needed while the country slowly slipped into chaos. Fortunately, you came along with the princess, and have made the situation even more beneficial than I could have hoped, said Darth Sage while Sandayu was surprised by this information. Won't Doto know these agents sent to guard the princess are yours if his own see them? Said Sandayu, knowing the tyrant wasn't an idiot and ruled the country with an iron fist for a reason. No. Doto has never met any of my subordinates. They will all be wearing masks and shinobi gear, so he will assume you hired shinobi from an unknown village. That is the attitude you are going to show when the inevitable confrontation with Doto begins, and that is what the story will be to the others making the Princess Foon movie. The less the people around you know of the guard detail the better, and all they need to know is the security detail you hired will do the job in protecting them, said Darth Sage before putting a firm hand on Sandayu's shoulder and seeing the old man slowly nod while knowing that if he blew the cover of the Sith's agents, then Doto would be the least of his worries. I understand, said Sandayu finally. Good to hear. To further ensure security, one of my private and unmarked ships will be assigned to your group. Just tell the captain the heading and where you want him to dock the ship, said Darth Sage, knowing the more discreet they were the better. I will, said Sandayu while sensing the boy was pleased with him. Then our meeting here is now officially over, Sandayu. Leave my sight so I can make all the necessary arrangements, said Darth Sage like he was casting away a semi-annoying employee and releasing his grip on the old man's shoulder before Sandayu left the room. And Kimimaro entering shortly after. You summoned me, my master, said Kimimaro once the door was shut and the albino kneeled before the Sith. Yes, I have an important assignment for Rock Lee, Mitarashi Anko, Niyugito, Hyuga Hinata, and yourself that must be executed flawlessly, said Darth Sage while sensing Kimimaro was mentally preparing himself for the mission. What is the mission, my master? Said Kimimaro, as he was ready to carry out the Sith's mission, and hoped it was one where he would kill someone. Just because the last of the Kaguya clan had control over his bloodlust didn't mean that the albino didn't have strong urges to spill blood. The time for my partnership with Doto to end and he must be eliminated. However, that is a secondary mission to the primary one I'm about to assign to you, and only be carried out near the end of the first, said Darth Sage, as he turned from the window of the room to face the albino still kneeling. What is the primary mission, master? Said Kimimaro calmly with his eyes closed in order to mentally prepare for the primary mission. You and the others are going to be protecting a very high-profile actress named Fujikazuki along with the others filming the new Princess Fune movie being shot in the deep regions of Snow Country. While that may seem a tad boring to someone of your talents, my friend, not everything about this mission is as it seems, and I assure you it is a true test of your talents, said Darth Sage seeing Kimimaro nod once. What is it about this mission that is veiled in shadow, my master? Said Kimimaro, as he had felt protection detail for some movie actress was indeed beneath him, but would have obeyed his master, and done it without question. The actress Fujikazuki is not just a normal actress with high-quality acting skill. She is in fact Princess Kazuhana Kayuki and the rightful heir to the throne of Snow Country. Her uncle is Kazuhana Doto and he wants his niece dead, so there is no one to contend for the throne. If she dies, I will lose a significant financial investment with the new Princess Fune movie being made, and the side rewards of helping the woman become daimyo of her country. Doto will betray me sooner or later, so I have no problems with wanting the man dead. The fact he didn't mention the chakra armor was unstable when a group of users wore them in close contact with each other proves this to be true. Keep the princess alive, kill Doto, and ensure I get a solid return on my investments, said Darth Sage while Kimimaro nodded once again. As you command, my master. I will see to it everyone assigned to this mission knows of what is to be expected of them, said Kimimaro before he rose from the ground. One more thing, Kimimaro. Each of you will wear masks and shinobi attire to shield your identities from the snow shinobi I know Doto will have sniffing around. No chakra armor is to be used or else Doto will know. Haku will brief you all on the strengths and weaknesses that the chakra armor that the snow shinobi have in their possession. Crush all who oppose you and side with Doto on this mission, Kimimaro. Spare no one, said Darth Sage seeing the albino nod and then leave the room. Whirlpool. It's hard to imagine this place once held one of the most feared people in the elemental countries, said Fu, as she saw the ruins of this once great land, and in a way her heart ached to see such a sight. The Uzumakis of Whirlpool were feared for their long-lasting life and their mastery in the art of sealing. They didn't mean to bring fear to those around them. Of that much I know, said Han, as he had heard the Tsuchikage not only protest Iwa's involvement in the genocide of the people, but admire them for their skills, and not letting it go to their heads. Yeah, I heard that too. They wanted to be respected more than feared for the unique abilities. Though they did have quite the temper in their youth and loved ramen like it was dropped down from the heavens. Such strange people, said Roshi, as she had heard the Tsuchikage talk about them at one point, and had practically cursed Konoha for their smearing of Iwa with such lies. Perhaps, but still you can't deny that they were strong because of it, said Fu seeing her fellow Jinchuriki nod in agreement. No argument with you there. I can't wait to see this place restored, said Han, as he saw the potential Whirlpool possessed in being an utopia among the other countries, and be a force unlike any other. How does Darth Sage intend to make that happen? Such a long-run project requires a lot of funding and people to fix this place up, said Fu, seeing both Jinchuriki shrug. He has the money for it, said Han simply. And he has no problem throwing it around. I don't see a reason why spending it on this place would be a problem for him, said Roshi before turning and seeing Simui heading their way. We have a problem, said Simui seriously while the three Jinchuriki looked at her now with concern. What's the problem? Said Fu curiously at the Kumo Kunoiki. Haku got word from one of spies in Konoha, who is running a shinobi clothing store, and overheard two Junin talking. Senju Tsunade is being made a missing nin for her assassination of Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was the Sandaime Hokage, and put a massive bounty on her head, said Simui while Fu, Han, and Roshi looked at each other. Is she an ally of Darth Sage? Said Fu, knowing if she was, then they couldn't let her be left alone, and hunted down like a dog. Yes. Tsunade is not alone either. Her medical assistant Shizune and pig named Tonton are in the bingo book now too. Each one has a bounty on their heads to further provoke more shinobi from other villages to hunt them all down, said Simui seriously, knowing that Tsunade's bounty, plus the other two, would make every greedy shinobi, and even that of mercenaries, come out of the woodwork to hunt them down. You're suggesting we go after her? We have to tell Darth Sage first, said Fu, knowing he could handle this from his end. He can't help Tsunade right now. Even with the recent favoring from the Fire Daimyo. It could all be wiped away in an instant if he sides with Tsunade, and openly shelters her, said Simui, knowing that while their master had favor, Tsunade did not, since evidence had clearly been shown that the Sannin killed her former sensei, and the Leaf is not being harassed by the Fire Daimyo over the decision, said Simui while Han sighed, knowing this was going to tick off the blonde Sith should this go badly for them. So we do this, Darth Sage gets to deny his involvement, and if successful we get Senju Tsunade herself on our side, said Roshi with the others nodding. Who can we commit to this operation? Said Han with Simui thinking it over. I could ask Karui to help along with Tenten and Karen to come along. But I think given how the others have left for a mission, Haku is with Darth Sage, a few people should stay behind, and watch over the place until they come back, said Simui, knowing it was better to have the place defended by a few than not at all. It's better they stay. We tell them what we are planning so in the event something goes wrong, Darth Sage can figure out what to do, and save us from harm, said Han while he internally shivered in fear at how the Sith would react to this rogue act. Gato Kanpani. Darth Sage jerked his head suddenly, as he felt a disturbance in the force yet again, and it calling out to him about something off in the distance. Grabbing forehead in sudden pain from the headache he felt, the Sith focused on the source of this problem, and saw images of the future dancing around like a tapestry the gods above were soon going to interlace together. Senju Tsunade being hunted and fighting off Leaf Hunter Nin. Her assistant Shizune and the pig Tonton doing the same. They fight him off for a while, but the constant assault of so many rushing to collect the bounty over time drained them, and were captured by Leaf Shinobi. Han, Roshi, Fu, and Simui intercepting the returning group heading for Konoha. Only for Jiraiya of the Sannin to strike with a 2 platoon of Leaf Shinobi backing him up. They were also brought back to the Leaf, ruthlessly interrogated, and tortured for more information about the main base their master went to when not at Gato Kanpani. Han, Roshi, and Fu are then eventually conditioned to become Konoha's loyal weapons of destruction. They are then forced to march against him. A much older Darth Sage is able to win against the three of them, but Jiraiya suddenly swoops down to defeat him, and the Sannin successfully slays the Sith Lord with a smirk on his face. However, the smirk soon leaves the fool when Darth Sage uses the Force one last time to put Jiraiya in a permanent coma while locking his mind away in eternal darkness. The moon turns blood red and a spinning Sharingan that consumes the world while a madman's voice echoes throughout. Haku, said Darth Sage, jolting himself from these visions of the future. Yes, Sage-sama, said Haku, running in and kneeling before her master. Grab your shinobi gear. Quickly. We must go and intercept Senju Tsunade along with my rogue tools that have left Whirlpool to stop the Leaf Shinobi from taking them all back to Konoha, said Darth Sage, as he was feeling his anger boiling instantly at the stupidity of his tools, and not asking him about this information. The young Sith knew of Tsunade's situation, which was why he had intended to send off Haku to meet her, and extend the sanctuary of Whirlpool to the Sannin. Considering the destroyed country was connected to her in the blood, Darth Sage knew there was a good chance Tsunade would take the offer, or at least for a time until the heat died down long enough to make a case before the fire daimyo to get the leaf to withdraw the bounty. However, upon Haku informing the others of this via Shadow Clone Messenger, the plan had been destroyed, and his tools were acting out on their own. "I am ready, Sage Sama," said Haku in full shinobi gear with a blank mask on her face. "Good. Kill every leaf shinobi in your sights, Haku. I have no doubts Jiraiya put that huge bounty on Tsunade's, Shizune's, and Tonton's heads in order to draw me out. Now thanks to my own tools, he will succeed, but I am going to make sure the end result of his plans suffer in becoming a horrible failure, and disgrace like himself. Do what must be done, Haku. Do not hesitate or show mercy to these Konoha shinobi. I need to send a message to the village that will get him to back off, and there is no better message than a large mass of leaf shinobi bodies on the ground dead," said Darth Sage, as he made his way through the secret passageways secretly constructed that went down to the lower levels, and was soon leaping into the shadows of the world to once more thwart Jiraiya of the Sannin. With Tsunade punched the masked leaf Anbu shinobi into a tree while Shizune fired the poison-tipped needles from the launcher in her sleeve. They barely had a chance to leave the city when the leaf Anbu showed up and demanded their immediate surrender or be taken back to Konoha by force. When Tsunade asked for the reason, the Anbu captain told the Sannin it was to face judgment for the murder of the former third Hokage, and that there was no walking away from this since her travel rights had been revoked. "Bring it. I'm glad that old bastard died at my hands. He deserved it," said Tsunade, as she was sensing their anger growing, and knew these leaf shinobi had been weaned on the legendary battle prowess of her former sensei. "Daiyu Senju slut," said an Anbu to her right with a katana blade poised to strike the Sannin in her side, but suddenly hit by molten lava, and soon a heavy steam was rolling into the area. "What the?" said Shizune before a massive pair of arms grabbed her from behind. "Do not worry, Shizune-san. We are allies," said Han whispered, knowing his steam ability would mask them from the leaf shinobi, while Fu moved quickly and savagely struck several others thanks to the 7 tails inside of her for increased speed. "We're under attack. Call for reinforce AAAH," said an Anbu through the steam, but was killed by another blob of lava fired by Roshi, and gave Tsunade a chance to leap away to a better position that just happened to be a few feet near the red-haired Jinchuriki. "Senju Tsunade of the legendary 3. We are here to escort you to safety to our hidden base," said Fu, as she took out 2 more shinobi with a few well-placed punches, and a mean spin kick to one skull that snapped his neck. "Your timing is perfect. Another hour of this and I'd be their prisoner. I've been hounded by Iwa, Kumo, and now Konoha, along with every greedy mercenary wanting to collect the bounty on my head. My level of energy was starting to feel a bit low," said Tsunade while the Samui now appeared with blood staining her swords. "I helped clear the way for us, but there are more leaf shinobi hanging around, and I think one of them is Jiraiya of the Sannin," said Samui, as she saw Tsunade narrow her eyes at the mention of the man's name, and knew the female Sannin would love to crush her former teammate. "If only my rage could be turned into chakra. I would rival the QB right now," said Tsunade, as she so wanted to crush the man, and turn him into a blood smear like she did their old sensei in the hospital. "Me too, but it's not. Now let's get the hell out of here before things go bad, and we fight more leaf shinobi than warranted." "Darth Sage didn't exactly sanction us being here," said Fu, as she saw Tsunade look at her in surprise while they fled, and sensed the other leaf shinobi pursuing. "Doesn't he know of Tsunade-sama's plight?" said Shizune, seeing Roshi nod. "He does, but you must understand, the action you did, while justified, is still illegal, and if Darth Sage intervenes now, his favor with the fire daimyo will be lost. Konoha could use it against him in the near future. We're doing this so that doesn't happen and he can deny his involvement in ordering us to save you should we fail," said Han, as they began to head away from the battle, and sensed something was wrong in the back of his mind. "Which you fools have. Sealing art, Buddha's prison of the damned," said Jiraiya, as a massive seal appeared under their feet, and immobilized the group completely, with the seal attacking their muscles to cause temporary paralysis. "My body. I can't move," said Fu, as she along with the other 2 Jinchuriki tried to use the chakra of their beast, but found the power being suppressed by the Sannin, and his damn trap. "Don't bother. This seal was made specifically to not only disable you, but your demons no matter how hard you struggle, and that's how it's going to continue until we get back to the leaf where Ibiki is going to make you tell us where Naruto's hidden base is located," said Jiraiya while leaf shinobi encircled the trap with weapons at the ready. "We will never betray him to the likes of you or the leaf." said Simui, as she struggled even harder to fight the seal, but still couldn't move, and saw the Sannin smirking at her. Of course you won't. Not willingly. But that won't stop Ibiki from trying, and trust me, he won't play nice with subordinates of Uzumaki Naruto, said Jiraiya while Simui just growled at him. Better to be Darth Sage's subordinates than your slaves and property like every other village sees people like us. You use Jinchuriki like weapons of war, then throw us away when it's over without even any kind of recognition, and gratitude knowing it was through our efforts the tide of battle turned, said Roshi angrily while Jiraiya scowled at him. You are weapons. That is the whole point of making Jinchuriki in the first place, said Jiraiya while Tsunade looked furious at him. That's real funny coming from the likes of you, pervert. I'd bet and wager Minato would greatly disagree with you, considering he only turned his son into a Jinchuriki to save the ungrateful village that despised Naruto, said Tsunade while Jiraiya sneered at her for not only reminding him of his fallen students, but the fact she basically blurted out Naruto's heritage on his father's side, and judging from the looks in the eyes of the others, they didn't know either. Darth Sage is the son of the Yondaime Hokage, said Han, as he saw Tsunade nod in confirmation, and wondered why the Sith never told them. Unless. The boy didn't know. Yes. As his godmother, I knew Kushina was married to Minato, and was pregnant with Naruto before the Kyuubi attack happened. Judging by the reaction on the pervert's face, Naruto doesn't know, and didn't want anyone else to know either, said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya narrow his eyes, and knew her words struck true. Even some of the Leaf Shinobi with Jiraiya looked a bit disturbed by the news. So that's how it is, huh? I'm the son of the greatest hero since the first two Hokages, said Darth Sage with lunar eclipse out and appearing from the shadows behind Jiraiya. Sage-sama, we can explain our actions, said Simui, but the glare he sent her made any kind of explanation mute, and the three Jinchuriki with her knew this was bad. Be silent. You four left without my approval. Just because I couldn't help Tsunade now didn't mean I couldn't have done it later when the opportunity presented itself, and I asked the Fire Daimyo for mercy since Tsunade is my godmother. But you chose to do things that played into the Sannin's trap, and now I am forced to tip my hand early thanks to your stupidity, said Darth Sage in a cold, dark voice that was exceeded only by the dark aura that swirled around the young Sith from all that had transpired from this moment. We are sorry, Sage-sama. Please forgive us, said Simui while seeing the boy's eyes go from blue to yellow with a tint of red at the edges. Whether or not I forgive you all for your actions still remains to be seen, my dear. For while I am displeased by your actions, it seems they have brought me unexpected fruit in terms of knowledge kept from me, and thus further solidify my reasons for seeing the Leaf suffer for their arrogance, said Darth Sage, as he felt the dark side rage around him like a storm, and even lunar eclipse in his hand was vibrating with power. You don't know what you're talking about, Naruto, said Jiraiya while the Sith took a few steps towards him. I don't. Let me tell you what I do know, my so-called godfather. I know the Leaf has taken almost everything from me. I have been robbed of a father, mother, a childhood, and lied to all because of what was inside my body. Something I never wanted, but was forced upon my person for a noble cause, and yet you along with everyone in the village spit on the sacrifice my parents made for village. You spit on my family on two fronts, Jiraiya. First, my mother was betrayed by the Leaf after they destroyed the Uzumaki clan of Whirlpool so my mother could be their Jinchuriki, and then my father after he sealed the demon in my body while wishing me to be seen as a hero. You had a part to play in both betrayals, Jiraiya, said Darth Sage while the Sannin's eyes widened slightly at him. I don't know what you're talking about, boy, said Jiraiya harshly while the whisker face narrowed his eyes at him. Oh. You don't. Let me remind your aging mind and inform my godmother of the part her former teammate played in the destruction of our true yet lost homeland. You were developing your spy network back then, was doing pretty good too because of the war, and decided to put it to the ultimate test, said Darth Sage while seeing Jiraiya flinch and felt killer intent from Tsunade rise to a level far beyond when she caught him peeping on her in the hot springs. He didn't, said Roshi seeing the Sith nod. Oh, he did. Jiraiya used his spy network to find out when the best time was for the Leaf to strike Whirlpool at its weakest, said Darth Sage coldly while Jiraiya looked at him with furious eyes. So what if I did? It was all for the Leaf. Everything the Leaf has ever done in this world has always been for our village and being the dominant one. Whirlpool stood in our way, regardless if they were our allies. and needed to be removed in such a fashion that could allow Konoha to rise to untold heights of power with your naive yet strong father being ruling over it all while being none the wiser of the price his wife's side of the family paid for to make the leaf unmatched, said Jiraiya, as he saw several trees splinter violently now, and the ground shaking while the Sith in front of him now had a dark crimson color energy surrounding his body. D. Yelled Darth Sage, as he launched that same crimson-colored power, which was a mixture of the Kyuubi's chakra, and the dark side of the Force. Jiraiya leaped away, just barely being hit by the attack, and even then his clothes were badly burned along with the rest of his hair. The rest of the leaf shinobi around the seal containing the boy's allies were not so lucky, as they were consumed by his attack, and burned into ash. As for the others within the seal, it ironically enough acted like a barrier to keep those that shouldn't from getting to those sealed within, which was one of the main reasons why Jiraiya used it in the first place, and knew only someone of his level or higher in the sealing arts could undo the prison. I have to get out of here and report back to Konoha. I can use this to my advantage and get the Fire Daimyo on our side, thought Jiraiya, knowing he just had to get to the Fire Daimyo first using his current condition to further gain favor from the feudal lord. Such an idea ended, however, as a mask-wearing figure in shinobi battle gear with a pair of sayas in each hand staring at him, and struck with an intense fury before he could even think about defending himself. The masked figure sliced, stabbed, and tore into Jiraiya's tendons with deadly precision, with the end result had Jiraiya being unable to move his limbs even the tiniest fraction of an inch. Well done, Haku. You are indeed one of my most deadliest of tools I have, said Darth Sage, as he walked over to his downed godfather, and kneeled down near the crippled man's nearly hairless head. Killing me will only cause more problems for you, Naruto. The Hokage knows I was sent to bring in Tsunade with those leaf shinobi. A team will be sent to investigate and they will discover your involvement before reporting back. I'm sure he did. However, being killed is part of the occupational hazard of a shinobi, and one of these Sannin, so I'm pretty sure I can talk my way out of it. But that's not something you need to concern yourself with, Jiraiya, as I have so much to do, and so little time to do it, said Darth Sage, as he put his hand on the man's skull, and on the part without hair in order to avoid any drastic move by Jiraiya to stop him. Oh no, thought Jiraiya, feeling his mind being invaded by the boy once again. This time around, Jiraiya, all your secrets, all your knowledge, and the power that comes from it are now mine, said Darth Sage, as he forced drain once again on Jiraiya, and felt the man's remaining knowledge become his own. Names of spy contacts, locations for meeting them, what they did, and how they were able to interact with Jiraiya without raising suspicions. Jutsus became known to the Sith, as well as the Toad summoning contract, which Jiraiya was supposed to give his godson when he was 8 after training him into being a strong shinobi per the Yondaim's last request to Jiraiya, and how to obtain the summoning scroll. Not. All of it. Can be used by you, Naruto, said Jiraiya after the boy finished taking what he needed. How very true. I have no use for your sage mode, since it is nothing compared to the dark side of the Force. But I will take the knowledge of the Toad summoning contract with me and how to summon them, since I doubt they'd wish to serve the likes of you from now on, said Darth Sage before pressing the tip of lunar eclipse against the back of the Sannin's head. If you kill me, the leaf will come after you, and not even the Fire Daimyo can stop them once they learn of my death, said Jiraiya, feeling the dark unholy blade touch the back of his neck. I'm counting on it. Don't you wonder why I've been weakening Konoha? I'm doing it this way because I want our shared enemies like Iwa and Kumo to redirect themselves at the leaf, said Darth Sage with a grin on his face. What? Said Jiraiya while the Sith chuckled. Surprised. You shouldn't be. While I have enemies now in terms of Iwa and Kumo, the leaf is also their shared enemy, and were unable to attack it because of its power. Until now, that is, said Darth Sage, seeing Jiraiya's eyes widen in shock. You're going to have Iwa and Kumo destroy Konoha in its weakened condition, said Jiraiya while the boy just laughed. Exactly. We both know that the weaker Konoha gets, the more tempted Iwa and Kumo will be to remove the leaf from the equation altogether. As for you, my godfather, death at this moment would be too merciful, and I'm not currently in a very giving mood when it comes to that area, said Darth Sage, as he took out a single seed from his pocket, and put it in the small incision-like cut he made with lunar eclipse. What did you just do? Said Jiraiya, knowing whatever the boy did was something major. Oh, nothing. I just planted a very special demon seedling in the back of your neck, said Darth Sage causally while Jiraiya was having a small panic attack. What? Said Jiraiya, wondering how Naruto even got one before the answer faster than to the question. As I said, it's special demon seed. Kyuubi knew where to have me look, but even then it was hard to find since they are extremely rare, and I was only able to acquire a small amount in my travels throughout the elemental countries. It's called the Karma seed, which is an interesting name in itself, as this seed can do very interesting things once implanted in something, or in your case, someone. Said Darth Sage, as he used the force to heal the wound, and then put his hand on the hairless part of Jiraiya's skull. What does it do exactly? Said Jiraiya while the boy still smirked at him. Interesting enough, the first thing the Karma seed does when inside a severely damaged body like yours is heal it, and make you right as rain on a hot summer day. However, at the same time, the Karma seed attaches itself to the body by growing its plant-like body within yours without complicating it, which is why they are so rare, as the very body they grow in must be badly damaged, and allow it spread throughout with little interference. When the time is right, the plant that comes from this seed will find it no has any need for its host, and decide to uproot, if you will, from the body. Namely, your bottomy barker of a godfather. Said Darth Sage with a cruel smile on his face. When you mean the plant uproots itself, you mean it actually. Said Jiraiya while the sudden feeling of unconsciousness came over him. Yes. It tears itself right out of the host body, goes somewhere with rich soil, and then plants itself to sprout an almost endless seedlings until it dies from the lack of energy it absorbed from the host body. Considering your Sannin with that sage mode, I'd wager you're going to make this plant very strong, and produce an abundance of these seeds. Of course, you won't know any of this until it's too late, as I can't have some second-rate doc in Konoha go digging it out of you, which by the way would be bad for your health since this demonic seed is attached to the brain stem, and any attempt to remove it will cause instant yet painful death. Said Darth Sage, as he saw Jiraiya trying to fight his actions into removing this information from his mind, and the memory of what the boy had done to the leaf shinobi around him. With his task done, the Sith walked towards the group being watched over by Haku after she did a quick scouting of the area to find no one else was around, and easily activated the sequence the seal required to release the prisoners trapped within. Upon getting up, the group looked at the young Sith, and saw he was showing signs of fatigue from using so much power. Not surprising when his body was still that of a 13-year-old boy, who just did what could only be described as a cage-level attack, and with the rage to match. Sage-sama Iak, said Simui, but her words ended when she was lifted up in the air using what was left of the Sith's strength, and the glare that was in his eyes told the young woman he was not pleased. You have caused me a great deal of unnecessary grief, Simui. All of you. Such an event would have reached my ears and plans would have been put into motion in freeing my godmother before she even made it into Konoha to face the new Hokage's judgment. The only question now is, how to punish you. Said Darth Sage before throwing the woman down onto the ground before walking slightly to a nearby tree to grab onto it for support. I wanted to tell you first, but they talked me into it, and felt the need to protect you, said Fu while seeing the Sith breathing heavier now. I know. There is also the fact your actions have provided me with more pieces to this situation with Konoha in connection to my father. So what am I going to do with you? Said Darth Sage before looking back at them with a calculating gaze. We are truly sorry, Sage-sama. We only did this to protect you. We beg your forgiveness for our stupidity, said Simui, as she along with the others kneeled before him, and kept their heads submissively down. For the moment, I accept your apology, and will spare your lives any further pain. As for you, Tsunade, it appears the time has come for your own entourage to seek sanctuary with my subordinates, and wait until the heat dies down from this matter, said Darth Sage, as he put Lunar Eclipse away, and slowly walked over to them. And where is your hidden base of operations? Said Tsunade, knowing that the Gaki's hideout had become practically impossible to locate. I thought you knew. After all, it is the place where our bloodlines connect, and bound Kyuubi to us since your grandfather sealed him away in your grandmother, said Darth Sage while Tsunade herself was shocked at knowing the truth. Of course. Why didn't I figure it out sooner? Thought Tsunade, as she saw her godson struggle to walk, and nearly collapse from the strain had Haku not moved in that instant to support him. I am here, Sage-sama, said Haku into his ear and saw him look at her before she was shocked to see a warm smile appear on the whisker-marked face. She couldn't help but blush at the sight of it, and was grateful the mask shielded it from everyone around her. Thank you, Haku. "Let's go home," said Darth Sage in a tired voice, as he walked with the support of the female ice user towards Whirlpool with the others following right behind them. None of them noticing a detailed paper bird flying a safe distance above their heads and following them to Whirlpool. Darth Sage sat in mediation, finding himself slightly surprised that the Force had sided with him these many long years now since his master first started training, and the Sith apprentice felt a sense of pride from Darth Plagueis. Pride in having a loyal, strong, and eager to learn student capable of doing whatever was asked of him. From what the blonde Uzumaki knew of his master's previous student Darth Sidious, the young man that killed the physical body of Plagueis had hungered for power since he was a small boy, and was one of the reasons the dead Sith Lord Now Spirit had taught him in the first place. It was also the moon's undoing, as Sidious's lust for power grew faster than Plagueis realized, since the Sith Lord had been looking into using the Force to create the ultimate Force-sensitive apprentice before his death, and didn't realize how Sidious would try to stop Plagueis from succeeding. However, unbeknown to Sidious at the time of slaying his master, Darth Plagueis had already succeeded in creating the child of such unmatched power, and had just finished the process mere moments before his physical form was slain. Had Plagueis not been so focused on the means to create such life, the Sith Lord would have felt the Force warning him of such danger from Sidious, and stopped his own demise from occurring. Whether or not that child became a Jedi or Sith in the future surprising didn't matter to Plagueis when reflecting on these things when talking to his current student. When asked why that was by the spiky blonde-haired boy, the Moon Sith Lord felt that one way or another his creation would be the end of Sidious in a form of revenge befitting the traitorous Darth Sidious. Whether it was Plagueis' own feelings on the matter or the Force itself whispering the Sith's future was unknown. As for Darth Sage, he hoped this Darth Sidious got what was coming to him, and left the tragic story behind Darth Plagueis' death behind. Even the years that followed since that conversation, the boy never brought it up, and continued his scheming with the Moon Spirit to take over the world. Within 4 years' time, Darth Sage had quickly acquired the means of obtaining new resources, technology, and political power to keep his enemies at bay. In Snow Country, the tyrant Doto was dead, his niece had become its rightful ruler once more, and the lost hidden technology once more rose from the snow itself almost literally upon the land's thawing. The newly crowned female daimyo Kazuhana Kiyuki had been true to her noble position and met the price the Sith was asking in terms of blueprints for the train system and airships. The blueprints for the trains were free, but the airships were not, but the Sith did get a good discount on the price for paying for them, and Darth Sage really didn't care how much was spent to get the plans. The vast wealth in his possession was by no means dented in paying for everything he had done, and over the years had been returned several times over with the moves made in the world. Wave Country was prosperous again thanks to him, the people happy, loyal product consumers to his company, which not that long ago had been their bane, and had grown strong under his nurturing hand. Suna was once again at its peak of power, which was rivaled only by Kumo, and given how they had the 8-tailed Jinchuriki to the 1 tail sealed in Sabaku no Gara, it wasn't surprising. Still, each one had been too far away from the other to start a war, and neither village really wanted to give in their own enemies at much closer borders. Iwa was harassing Suna over their Jinchuriki being one of the few not taken by Darth Sage, while Suna itself was repelling them with the supplies they were given by the key benefactor. The Sith had provided them with new techniques, jutsus, training methods to better hone their skills, a better understanding of seals from what they already knew, and just about everything else needed to stay at the top. As for Kumo, they were busy with Konoha, and the village's rapid decline in power after what happened in the Chunin exams that Orochimaru crashed years earlier. Still, even without a Jinchuriki to fight for them, the Leaf still had Jiraiya of the Sannin, for now, and then the last Uchiha, with his Sharingan now fully developed. For the past 4 years, Kumo had been either trying to get back Yugito from the Sith Lord, or keeping Killer Bee away from Konoha, knowing they were hunting for the Raikage's younger brother for their own purpose in controlling the 8-tailed vessel for their own means, along with protecting the man from the Akatsuki. Of course, the Uzumaki of a Sith made sure neither side gained much from their victories over each other, as Killer Bee stayed out of Konoha's hands, and Konoha kept Kumo from winning their fights at the borders of their respected countries. Water Country and Mist were another issue that had been resolved thanks to the influence of Darth Sage, as he had let the rebels in its lands win against the Mizukage, and fellow supporters of his cause. The new Mizukage, a red-headed woman named Terumi May, had been grateful for the Sith's secret support in their efforts in the war against Yagura, and used what resources were available to pay off the debts that built up from buying the needed supplies to fight the three-tailed Jinchuriki. Of course, the Sith had worked out a long-term payment plan with her so it wouldn't bring about the end of her time as Cage before it even started, and get the village back on its feet. Master, the Conan woman is back again to speak with you, said Haku, as she spoke from behind the door to his chambers of his mediation room, and knew it was the one of the few places she dared not enter unless he gave her the order himself. He had warned her along with everyone else in advance that the excess energies of the dark side he let out had the ability to target a person's deepest inner pain no matter how deep down it was buried when in the mediation room. It didn't matter if they were on his side or not, the dark side of the Force did not hold back, and the Sith wasn't about to have Haku or anyone else with him face past nightmares long since buried. Old wounds long since healed could easily be reopened by the dark side and made even worse should the victim succumb to its powerful influence. Thank you, Haku. I will be there shortly, said Darth Sage, as he wondered if it was irony that his former enemies in the Akatsuki would wish to become allies, and crush the true leader of the organization that was Uchiha Madara. In truth, Madara had many qualities of a Sith in him, but the problem was the founding member of the Uchiha clan wanted to keep power only for himself, and not pass it on to his successor. Striving to be immortal, ruling over this world to be its god, and the fear of dying before even having a chance to succeed was one of the things that would have disqualified Madara if he was Force-sensitive. He would have broken the rule of two the instant his master was slain and thus cause more problems in the process for the Sith. In a way, Madara reminded Plagueis a lot of Sidious in being afraid of such things, and the hunger for power yet not continuing the rules of succession in passing on everything to the student. Now Darth Sage found himself speaking to the woman, who had discovered his base in Whirlpool, and was working with official leader of the Akatsuki known to its members as Pain. The Sith only met with Pain once and even then it was one of his paths, instead of the actual man himself. Of course, to show good faith, Pain had used Yahiko, which was considered to be his most favorite one, as it was the body of his most trusted friend, who died protecting them all when the warlord of Am Salamander Hanzo, and Danzo helped betray them out of fear of the growing reputation in the land. Pain had stated by risking his most favorite of his 6 paths in coming before the Sith, he showed that his intentions for a secret alliance were indeed genuine. Since then, Conan had been Pain's liaison of sorts between the two sides, having met with Darth Sage to discuss plans for the future, and a means to take down Uchiha Madara while knowing the man must never know of their secret alliance. Conan-san, how is everything with the Akatsuki? Said Darth Sage with a smile on his face. Hello Sage-san. Officially, the organization is collapsing within itself, and its members are falling one by one with each failure, said Conan, which was true since Pain, and the Sith had worked out a way to destroy the members of the Akatsuki while keeping Madara from being none the wiser. The Sith had made himself known first to Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame since they were among the strongest within the organization aside from Madara, Pain, and herself. Kisame, however, had orders to kill Itachi before that happened, as the former swordsman of the Mist had been informed of Itachi being a spy, and thus needed to be removed from play before going after the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. The end result was Itachi coming out victorious in battle, but weakened from the conflict since Kisame was told how to counter the Sharingan by Pain using the hidden Mist Jutsu, and yet the Uchiha did not rely on it like many of his slaughtered kinsmen had in the past. Kisame had fallen after Itachi used one of the few wind jutsus in his possession and then Amaterasu to the swordsman that turned him along with his sword to ashes. However, no sooner had that happened did the Uchiha's intended target for the Akatsuki organization to capture, and the Leafs to kill appeared with a smile on his face. Impressive Uchiha Itachi. Most impressive. I was hoping Kisame would prevail, but sadly that is not the case, and yet this may prove to be more to my liking. I never did like your clan, its bloodline, or the fact your family made my life miserable with the help of the old bastard of a Hokage. I really must thank and curse you for killing your kin all those years ago, Itachi-san. For one, the clan needed to be destroyed given what they planned to do if they succeeded, and curse you for not killing Sasuke in the process because of your love for the prick. He's definitely your father's son. Itachi had winced at that since his intention for Sasuke to survive was to become strong enough to destroy him and then bring about the rebirth of the Uchiha clan with the stupid arrogance of its ancestors. Apparently, the councils along with the Sandaime had decided to put a wrench in things, and thus prevent that rebirth from happening. Don't feel so bad, Itachi. It was a noble goal. Of that, I won't hold against you. It's not in my nature to do that despite the teachings of my master to crush you for that act alone. I know you had planned for your brother to kill you in an act of penance for the killing of your family, but that is not going to happen anytime soon, as I'll be the one to have that honor, and then focus on your little brother myself. Itachi's eyes widened in horror at realizing his full circle plan was about to be ruined by the Sith and tried to flee in order to recover before reporting to Jiraiya. However, his own attempt to flee were ended by Haku, and her demonic ice mirrors before she struck with wave after wave of Senbon needles. Darth Sage, for his part, had watched with pride at seeing Haku strike Itachi from all fronts with her sais, and being the one to defeat the Uchiha instead of the Sith himself. That's good to hear. I take it the loss of the zombie brothers, at Yugito's, Kimimuro's, and my hands has no doubt reached the ear of Madara, said Darth Sage, as he used Yugito and Fu to bait the two Akatsuki members with pain, ordering them to go after them. Yes, he's not pleased. Nor was he after Sasori and Deodara met their ends in Suna, said Conan simply while the Sith smirked. Considering how Suna made them look like jokes and thus insulting the organization he had a hand in making, it's not surprising. All I needed to do was merely warn Suna of their arrival and whom among its people were a threat to their village by letting them in, said Darth Sage, having used his third-person contacts to speak to the Kazekage about the soon-to-be threat. Only Zetsu remains before going after Madara, said Conan, seeing the Sith nodding, but had a frown on his face, and for good reason, regarding the plant-like Akatsuki member. An elusive little worm among your organization. You may have to kill him yourself in order for me to make the move against Madara, said Darth Sage, seeing Conan consider this since she knew that he was right. I'll consider discussing it with Pain when I return to speak with him, said Conan before deciding to conclude the meeting with the Uzumaki. Please do. While this is happening, I must handle Iwa and Kumo from getting out of hand since they're starting to get bold again, said Darth Sage, while having to weaken both villages to the point where they would reluctantly seek out his help for some form of edge against their neighbors. Though Iwa would be the most reluctant and Kumo would learn to swallow their pride if given enough incentive. Pain can strike out against Kumo and kidnap the eight-tailed Jinchuriki before bringing him here, said Conan, with the young Sith shaking his head in disagreement. No. The time is not yet right. If Pain does that, then Madara will find out, and we lose control of the situation. Leave Kumo to me while you handle things on your end with Pain on further removing the Akatsuki from the world, said Darth Sage, seeing Conan nod, knowing the Sith knew exactly what he was doing. I will. Good day, Sage-san, said Conan before bowing and turning to leave. Good day, Conan-san. Tell my distant cousin I wish to see him soon when this is over, said Darth Sage, with the woman stopping and smiling slightly. I will, Sage-san. I know he's happy to hear there is at least more than one Uzumaki left in this world besides himself and Senju Tsunade on her part, said Conan before she left. I still can't believe I have some kind of family left in the world, said Tsunade, as she had come into the room, and walked past Conan in the hallway. I agree. Imagine my own surprise in learning there was an Uzumaki within the Akatsuki organization, said Darth Sage with a smile on his face. You're in one of your chipper moods. They're becoming more frequent these days, said Tsunade, seeing the boy was becoming happier over the years, and not because his power growing throughout the elemental countries. Because everything is going according to plan. Soon Whirlpool will rise again. Soon the leaf will be a shadow of former self. Soon Jiraiya of the Sannin will be dead, said Darth Sage while ignoring the slightly pained look on his godmother's face. How much longer does he have? Said Tsunade curiously. Not long. I sense the plant in him is ready to rip itself out of his body. He won't know it's happening until it's too late, said Darth Sage calmly while sensing to something close to sorrow in regards to Tsunade's emotions in regards to Jiraiya's soon-to-be demise. What symptoms will he be showing? Or will it just happen? Said Tsunade, seeing the Sith pause in thought. Some minor coughing. His joints will feel stiff. Like he has extra feeling in his body that feels off and can't be explained, said Darth Sage calmly while Tsunade nodded. And then the inevitable comes, said Tsunade with the Sith nodding. Yes. It will be painful. It may even be considered cruel on my part. But it is no less than what he deserves for going against my father, mother, and every Uzumaki that was slain here in Whirlpool, said Darth Sage before continuing his walk to the outside world of his slowly restored homeland of his mother. It had taken a great deal of resources and manpower over the last 4 years, but the place was starting to show signs of the greatness his people once had, and the blonde had every intention of making it become just that. He even had what could be called new blood, coming into Whirlpool with missing nin of his choosing from the bingo book being offered a place to become something born anew. All Darth Sage asked of them was their undying loyalty, and the sanctuary they desired from being constantly hunted would be granted by him. While still small in numbers, the Sith knew that would change with more time, and how the numbers of the human race could easily double in number over such a short time when pulled together. I know. Still, the memories I have make me feel some form of sorrow and pain in my heart, said Tsunade, seeing the Sith nod. That is to be expected given how long you've known him, but remember it was because of him that Whirlpool fell so easily, and it was through him that you were lied to about me being dead. He denied you a chance to be a surrogate mother, said Darth Sage, as he was not going to let these feelings of sorrow to grow into a means of eroding her will, and questioning her own resolve. I haven't forgotten. Just how I haven't forgotten you being the ladies' man with several of the kunoichi here in Whirlpool, said Tsunade with a smirk while changing direction of the conversation. I didn't expect that to happen, to be honest with you, but things just happened, said Darth Sage, as he didn't expect to fall for any of his female subordinates, or marry them based on clan laws of having multiple wives when its numbers were dangerously low. Well, they did. Hinata is progressing nicely with her pregnancy, by the way. Practically glowing with joy at being the mother of your child. Same with Yugito too, said Tsunade with the smirk on her face growing and her godson now grinning slightly. I hope so. I find myself happy with them. Haku has been trying to get pregnant as well, from what I sensed of her intentions. We are intimate, said Darth Sage while ignoring the chuckle from his godmother at his mentioning of Haku and her affection for him. Even though Haku dared not show it to anyone outside of the Sith Lord's special inner circle, which consisted of Tsunade, Shizune, the other Jinchuriki, and the other tools under his command. Haku had been the first of the three women in his life to proclaim her love for him, standing before him in the master bedroom of his home, asking if he would grant her the honor of becoming his wife, future mother of his children, before removing her ocean blue robes to reveal her Nard form in all its exotic glory. A few months later, Hinata had asked to be his second wife, knowing he could have more than one, but strangely enough had been the first to become pregnant with his child not that long ago, and the same with Yugito when her time came. Much to Haku's annoyance, though it did little in stopping the young woman's personal desire to be carrying the Sith Lord's child like the others currently were. Don't worry about it too much. If anything, she's near that time when conceiving a child after such time together is assured, and Haku is going to do everything in her power to see that she has an Uzumaki bun in her oven. Why? Because that young lady loves Yugaki. They all do. They were once just your subordinates you would order around, but now they've become more, and to be perfectly honest, I am happy to see that it's bringing about a lighter side in you, said Tsunade, as she had been concerned at first with this force, energy, and the dark side, possibly poisoning his body. But after seeing the girls around him interact with her godson, the signs of such a thing became less and less the more time they spent with Naruto. In fact, she had encouraged it with the others, knowing the more women in Naruto's life, the better off he would be, and keep him level-headed without going completely psycho like too much power tended to do. Even if it did turn out to be something from one of Jiraiya's wet perverted dreams. The concept of love is normally not part of the Sith way, but then again, I'm not one of the more conventional Sith that have been around for 1,000 years prior to myself, and I do not like breaking boundaries, said Darth Sage, having told Tsunade a little bit about the Sith and how long they've been around. How very true, my apprentice. Still, if anyone is going to embrace the concept of a Sith Lord falling in love, and succeeding, it would be you, said Darth Plagueis, as he didn't really understand the concept himself, which many Sith tended to follow since love was something that embraced the lighter side of the Force, and while not something a Jedi would embrace either, it was still something Sith tried to avoid. Sure, Sith tended to have lovers, more out of lust really, and the concept of love had been considered a taboo of sorts, just like the Jedi did, only for different reasons. Spoken like a true Uzumaki, said Tsunade while seeing the young Sith looking around his new home like an emperor over his empire. Would you expect anything less from me? Said Darth Sage with a raised eyebrow. Not at all. Not at all, said Tsunade, as she saw her godson becoming a true leader, and knew he would bring peace to the elemental countries. Though certain enemies needed to be removed first, and they weren't going to go down without a fight. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.